Wagner, Director of Horticulture for Baltimore Country Club, and today I am here to answer any questions that you may have about anything at all in the garden. And I'm also going to go over how to make the side planted hanging baskets that we use around the grounds at the clubhouse sometimes, at the pool. So those big, full, overflowing hanging baskets you see at our pool complex. I'm going to go over the process. So at any point, feel free to shoot in some questions or just let us know you're hanging out with us today and we'll try to answer any questions you have. And I'm so excited that finally warmer weather is on the horizon because the frost was a little bit miserable. Hopefully none of you lost too much in your gardens by tucking everything away when it got really cold, and I think we're in the clear. Also, beautiful, beautiful weather now through the weekend, followed by like rain all next week. So this is time to plant. Do yourself a favor, get those plants in the ground so that Mother Nature can water them for you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. I have here a 16-inch Pamela Crawford designed side planted hanging basket. You can get these at a lot of the local independent garden centers. It's also available on kinsmangardens.com. I can put that sourcing info in the contacts after the video. But this is nice, and it's a wrought iron basket with a replaceable cocoa fiber liner. So you can replace this. Usually you might be able to get 2 years out of it. I usually just replace them every year because they start to look a little frayed. And the technique we're using is side planting. So you're going to have your regular hanging basket on top, but you also see all these holes in here that we are going to stuff full of flowers. So I'll go ahead and get started and give you the techniques. So we're going to start with our side plants. I have already filled it, you can see, with soil just up to the holes. So my plants are going to rest sideways in here, right on the soil. I have, for this basket, I'm going with that like some like it hot kind of feel. So we've got oranges, reds, chartreuse. It's gonna be smoking hot at the pool this year. I'm gonna start with my Calibrachoa. This is an orange Million Bells Calibrachoa. And I'm going to take it out of the pot. Look at those roots, full of nice fibrous fleshy roots. So I'm going to just crack it a little bit on all four sides, sort of opening a book here at the bottom. That's going to stimulate some root growth. And now I'm going to grab all of this in my hand. It's harder on you than it is on the plant, I swear. I'm going to take my hand and reach into one of these side planting holes, like so. I'm going to grab that foliage and very carefully guide it through the side. Now, you're going to notice right away that as I'm doing this, that these planters have a little bit of like a teenage awkward years phase. So when you first plant them, they're not going to look perfect. They're going to look a little bit like, you know, they were just shoved through tiny holes in cocoa fiber. But it takes only a couple days for them to really perk up. So now I've got my next plant here is a Margarita sweet potato vine. So I love the look of chartreuse and red orange. I think that's fantastic. So we're gonna have this so you can see they're side by side. I've got the soil pushed right up against the edge. I'm gonna keep kind of pushing it up against the edge there to make sure that I leave room for my big finale hanging basket. So the next item somewhere, oh, here they are, is a beautiful red velour wave petunia. So petunias and Calibrachoa, they have very similar flowers. Again, I'm cracking the roots. Petunia has just a much bigger trumpet-shaped flower. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see hummingbirds on this because you got all those trumpet flowers and so much red going on here. So these are very squat little florets. So, you know, it takes a little bit of finagling to get them to come through. So you can see now on your side that everything's through. We've got the crown, basically the roots are on the inside and the crown and the rest of the plant is on the outside through the hole. It's gonna look a little bit stressed and bedraggled at first, but it will very soon recover and you'll have all these nice trailing plants going the whole way around the outside. So again, I'm grabbing the whole thing. Now in this design, this has, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12 holes in it. I don't actually want to fill all 12 holes. I've found over the years that leaving a couple of the holes empty actually will help. It's just a lot of plants. I think if you were somewhere with a shorter summer, where it was a little bit cooler, then you might want to fill the whole thing up because you're not asking it to go quite as long into the fall as we are. But here I find that things get so fat and happy that by putting these side plants in, you're really taking up a lot of the root space, so it helps to skip a hole. So here's my hole that I skipped. So I have 1, 2, 3, a skip, and I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. So I actually have And this is where when you replace them every couple years, I always save the old liners because I can use this cocoa fiber to, I just take a small segment of it and I just block the hole from the inside. That way I'm basically shutting it up again. I can backfill with my soil and the soil won't all fall out of that hole. So it's pretty simple. You're just kind of repeating that process. They also make these, not just to plug this product, but I happen to like it. They make these in a smaller hanging basket, and they also make them in a larger size, which you can put on a post. They have a post system for it. So in our tennis complex, we have like a repeating, that's not supposed to go. See, we can all make mistakes. I have to check my pattern here. So I've got my Petunia next. But in our tennis facility, I have these on border columns, and it's a really nice repeated height element, someplace where you can't hang a basket, but maybe you just want to get a little bit of vertical height. So again, I've got my repeating pattern here. So I'll skip the back side, but once I have all of this filled here, what I like to do sometimes, I should say what I used to do is I would take more of these small 4.5 inch plants and I would put them on the top. Basically you're taking your soil, loose soil, which I always have handy, that nice bark-based potting soil that I use, backfilling it, but I have, because I have these plants all around the edge, I have this hole, this sort of void in the center. Now instead of using more 4 and 4.5 inch plants, I find that if you want some va-va-boom nice and early in the season, it actually works out better to just buy a 10-inch hanging basket. See how I did that? You just flip it over, take the hat off. Sometimes it has a little drain pan here. My hand is inside the hanging basket, just supporting it fully. I'm not yanking it out by its hair. So now what you have is just this perfect, ready to go, nice big plant for the top of it, and it actually sits right into that void. So you've got this donut of all your roots, and then you've got just the right amount of space to put a 10-inch hanging basket right in the top there. So you've got this instant, this is a Bonfire Begonia. We talked about these in the favorite annuals video, but just love it. So much warm tones, and I think that, especially around a pool, we love getting those hot colors. So that's the process for how we make our side planted hanging baskets. And so hopefully our pool will be opening soon. Who knows? We can always hope. We're dreaming of the pool. I'm dreaming of the pool. It's gonna be really nice out. So you'll be seeing these at our pool complex as well as in our tennis complex on the border columns there.
Is there anything that we need to worry about with the hot temperatures for tomorrow?
I think, thinking back to any of, that's a great question. Anything that you've been planting this spring, you always want to, it sort of tends to sneak up on us. So there's two things that sneak up on us. One is watering. So suddenly it gets really hot and you're like, well, rain, but maybe suddenly before you realize it's been a week since we had rain. So then, you have to actually start watering stuff. So checking for watering. The other thing that I always forget about, sunscreen. Like, it's gonna be really nice out. So if you're working in the garden, make sure you don't forget your sunscreen if you're mowing or any of that kind of stuff, because it's like that sneaky first couple of hot, warm, sunny days will definitely sneak up on you. So thanks for tuning in. That's all we have for you for this week for Thursdays in the garden, and we'll see you next week. Happy gardening.